In the previous lesson, our intrepid designers had designed two beautiful brushes. One was a monkey and one was a tree. But they're having trouble implementing them unless they just want to click on the screen like a stamp. So let's play around a little bit here. I do have Art Palette PSD open as a blank workspace. Let's go into, we got the two options over here. You've got a button here, and that one is, of course, for our brush presets. And you have this one up here, and of course, that's for the brush. Let's go to brush presets first. Let's scroll all the way down, because our new brushes will be down here. And we've got the monkey. Let's start with the monkey. That's this one right here. Doesn't look like a monkey, but it is. Come back to brush option. You can see him down here. This is the stuff up here that will help to bring this brush to life. Let's start with shape dynamics. And if you click right here, let's go ahead and open that up. You have something called jitter. Jitter is kind of like random. And we have a size and an angle and a roundness jitter. So if we change the size jitter, I know it looks kind of strange down here, but what it's doing is it's randomly changing the size of the monkey. But since they're all on the same line, we need to spread this out a little bit. So if we go into scattering, we can control how they are scattered. Now we can scatter across both axes. Look at them. Look at the monkeys. There they go, back together. We can change the count so we don't have so many, which makes sense. We can get too many monkeys in there. And we'll take that down, and you have a count jitter. Now what that means is, as you're moving your mouse, it will make more or less in a random pattern. So we've got shape dynamics. Let's go back there for a second. Let's change the minimum diameter. And what we're doing here, in a sense, is we're allowing it to make larger or smaller monkeys, in our case monkeys, as it goes along. We have an angle jitter, and you can see them rotating around if you want to use that one. And a roundness jitter. I don't want to change the roundness of these guys. I want them to stay the same. And you have a flip on the X or the Y, left to right or up and down. If we come over here now, and well, let's do this. Let's pick up a color, and I'll Alt-click. That's just a quick way to do it. And let's close this for a second. All right, we got monkeys going all over the place. Isn't that nice? Let's go ahead and press undo. And let's reopen up here. What else can we do? Well, you do have an option for texture. Now, in a texture, if you select that one, you can add a texture to the color. And you've got some pretty interesting textures up here if you want to use them. You've got another option for dual brush. Now, this one's interesting. It's not quite what you think it is. What a dual brush does is it uses one brush masked against another. So you might want to use a round brush to mask against this one right here, but then you'd have to change this one or you're going to get something like this. Now that may not make too much sense, but with the right type of brush, you can create some very unique ways to use it. Let's go ahead and undo that one for dual brush. This is the one where you can start having some fun here when you get into color dynamics. Now, right now, we are using the color blue. What I'm going to do, let's go into, say, for example, our Essentials workspace. Okay, in Essentials, let me go ahead and choose another color. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to hold down the Control key and click, and that will change the background color. So now I have a blue and I have a light yellow. So let's get back into our stuff up here. Color dynamics, foreground to background jitter. Now that means I can now use both colors as I paint. So if I come in here and say, give me a bunch of that, give me a lot of background to foreground, we got 52% going on right here. And we can begin doing this, and you can see it's beginning to change them slightly. Now we have to have more fun with this. Come down to hue. Now that's the hue between the two colors, not just the yellow and the blue. So if we pull that up, we go ahead and pull our saturation. That changes the saturation from grays into fully saturated. Brightness, and then the purity of the colors. So I'm just playing around here. And then let me close this so we can see this. And come over here again And you're getting all kinds of monkeys in all kinds of colors, in all kinds of rotations, in all kinds of sizes. I'm not recommending actually that you take a monkey brush and start spilling it all over the screen. Let's do this. Control-A-Delete, my favorite key, besides undo. And we could come back over here again. And you do have, like I said, there are a lot of really cool brushes in here. If we go to presets and go down to, say, and these are some of the ones that are already there, you got things like this maple leaf. Now, if we go back into brush, everything is basically the way we left it. But if we pick up our color dynamics here and play a little bit around with some of these options, foreground to background, jump between the two colors, hue, saturation, brightness, and purity, all kinds of maple leaves all over the place in different colors. Now this to me makes a little bit more sense because if you keep doing this and cover that layer, you might have an interesting background here actually. Now the other ones we have, one's called transfer right here. And what transfer does basically, it adjusts the dynamics of that particular brush for the buildup of the paint or effect that you're using. This one down here for pose, think about like posing. And what it allows you to do is override some of the things that have already been set, like on tilt and rotation, and just kind of adjust the brush a little bit more, fine-tuning it. You've got these options down here that have been there since the beginning. They came out long before this stuff came out. If we click noise, for example, you'll notice there are no options for noise. It's either on or it's off. Let me go ahead and delete that stuff. What noise does is it adds, and you can see there's a little bit of noise, kind of a rough, a sandy look to the color, as opposed to it being smooth. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. You have wet edges. Now that's kind of like working in watercolors. You can see, I think, that it's got a softer edge, like you're working with watercolors on a wet canvas. That's what that one does. What buildup does is it acts almost like an airbrush, and the more you work, the more it builds up. Smoothing, which is a good one to have on actually, allows you to smooth your lines out as you are drawing. And protect texture allows you to protect the texture of the image in the background as you're working. And those are just some of the options that we can play around with. And like I said, you can make your own brushes and apply them and bring them to life. On to the next.